So we're going to jump into the Louisiana Monroe preview, guys. So, like I said, this team, not very good. They were not good last year. 2-10 last year, 0-8 in conference. They hadn't won an FBS game until they beat UAB this year in the American Athletic Conference. They are 2-0 this year. They beat Jackson State and UAB. That was their first FBS win since the first game of last year versus Army. Like I said, 2-0 this year. They fired Terry Bowden, hired Brian Vincent. Let's go. Now, these are last year's stats. Listen, I'm not going to count this year's stats when you've only played 2 games. To me, when we're counting opponents, I will go through this year's stats when they played 4 games. That is a big enough sample size. That is 130-year season in the books. 2 games is not enough. That's 1/6. So I'm not going to do that. So for last year, guys, they averaged 17.3 points per game, 128th in the country, 128th on point scoring on offense. It doesn't get much better on defense. 34.9 points per game against. That is 125th in the country last year. So 128th on offense scoring, 125th on defense points allowed in scoring. Just a god-awful team overall. Now let's jump into the offense, break it down a little bit further. Yards per play on offense, 4.7. We just held UTSA to 3.77, which is only 1 yard less. 4.7 yards per game on offense, or per play on offense last year, ranked 109th on offense last year in the country. Third down percentage in the country on offense, 31.45%. They only converted 31.45%. That is 117th in the country out of 133 teams. Rush yards per game allowed for Louisiana Monroe, 133.6 rush yards allowed per game. That would be 86th in the country allowing rush yards per game. Rush attempts per game, they're actually about the same. 3.9 yards, 3.9 yards allowed per attempt, 87th in the country. Pass yards per game, 181.7, 106th in the country. Pass yards per attempt, 6.2, 113th in the country. Their best thing on offense was rush yards per game at 86. Think about that. The best thing you did was 86th best in the country last year. That is abysmal. When we are talking bad, we are talking this was the worst team in college football last year. Period. They might be that this year. I think they're going to be a little bit better, but not much better. On defense, they allowed 51.25% of third down. That was dead last in the country last year. Only 2 teams, allowed over 50%. They were one of them with 51.25%. Rush yards per game on offense, 176.5. That was 103rd in the country. Rush yards per attempt, 4.3. That was 70th in the country. That's the best number you're going to see on offense and defense. Pass yards per game, 282.6. That was 129th in the country. Sorry, this is defense. Last one was offense. I got those messed up. I'm sorry about that. This is defense. 282.6 yards per game allowed, 129th in the country. Pass yards per attempt on defense, 8.4, 117th in the country. So again, defense, 51.25%. allowed conversion rate on defense, 133rd in the country. Rush yards per game, 176.5, 103rd in the country. Rush yards per attempt on defense, 4.3, 70 in the country. So at least they are average on that. Pass yards per game, 282.6 yards per game allowed defense, 129th in the country. Pass yards per attempt, 8.4, 117th in the country defense. Now I'm going to run through it again because I messed up on offense. Yards per play on offense, 4.7, 109th in the country. Third down percentage, 31.45% on offense, 117th in the country. Rush yards per game, 133.6, 86th in the country. Rush yards per attempt, 3.9, 87th in the country. Rush yards per game, 181.7, 106th in the country. Pass yards per game, 181.7, 106 in the country, and pass yards per attempt, 6.2, 113th in the country on offense. Abysmal, guys. So if your best ranking on offense is 86 in rush yards per game, and your best ranking on defense is 4.3 yards per rushing attempt, 70th in the country. That's your best. That is why you go 2-10. That is why you only average 17.3 points per game on offense, which is 128th, and 34.9 points per game given up, 125th in the country out of 133 teams. They are bad. Now, let's get into this year's team, what they lost, what they have coming back. You'll notice some of these names. Some of these names might be familiar. So, again, they bring in Brian Vincent. He was New Mexico's offensive coordinator last year. He was actually pretty good with them, guys. They were ranked pretty highly in the rushing game and overall pretty good offense. He was also the interim at UAB before that, and they were decent with him as the interim. And so far, they've won 2 games as many as they did last year. So he is an improvement over Terry Bowden. One starter returns on offense, Elijah Fisher at the left guard position, 6 on defense. But again, guys, I think it's good that they don't have many returning players because you were god-awful last year. When you're this bad as a football team on both sides of the ball, you want as much turnover as you can get. And all three leading receivers are gone, and Tyrone Howe, Daria Wiley, and Bugs Mortimer. That's a freaking awesome name, by the way. And then their 2 leading tacklers are gone as well, and Michael Batten and Max Harris. Returning on defense, these are the 6 guys returning. Nose tackle, Jalen Ware. Defensive tackle, Aiden Huntington, which is probably their best overall player on defense, or if not, he's probably one of 2 or 3 on defense. Linebacker, Carl Glass Jr., linebacker, Traver Randall, cornerback David Godsey, and safety Carlin Viggers. They bring in quarterback General Booty. Yes, that is his name. General Booty is the starting quarterback. Louisiana Monroe so far in 2 games, 19 of 30, 63.3% completion percentage, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Running game has actually gotten going this year. They've actually been pretty decent so far in the 2 games. Ahmad Hardy, 33 rushes, 161 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns. James Jones as well, 20 rushes, 110 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt, and 1 touchdown. So the running game has gotten going under Brian Vincent, and that's to be expected, guys. He was really good at New Mexico getting their running game going. So it's pretty clear to me, guys, that this guy knows what he is doing in the running game, and I think you're going to see that versus Texas. I think this will be the best test Texas has, like skill position wise and scheme wise, of attacking our defensive line. I really believe that. So it's going to be interesting how we respond there. And talent wise, I would agree Michigan has more talent, but their offensive line's abysmal. And no offense, they run a pretty vanilla, pretty bad scheme. I think this team actually schemes it up better than Michigan does running the ball. Now, through the air, they're not going to be able to present a test. Devon Wells is their second leading receiver, 7 receptions, 46 yards, 6.6 yards per completion with 1 touchdown. And then Javon Campbell is their leading receiver, 5 receptions, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. They're just not going to be able to test us through the air. To me, if as a Texas fan, I want to see the line of scrimmage, how they're able to run versus us, and see how we're able to do there. To me, that matters the most in this game for us. Defense, Carl Glass Jr., again, he was returning. He's also their leading tackler this year. Pretty damn good job in 2 games, 21 tackles. And then this guy who is coming in for them has done a good job. Defensive end Billy Poland, first on the team in tackles for loss with 4. And he has 3.5 sacks in 2 games. So someone to look out for. Depends where he lines up, whether it's going to be Cam Williams or Kelvin Banks. Let's see how they defend him. He's not going to be the best pass rusher we faced. That's going to be either Isaiah Stewart or Derek Moore for Michigan, but he's probably the 3rd best. So it's going to be an interesting test for our guys. And then Kalen Viggers with 1 interception and Wyatt Williams with 1 interception. Kalen Viggers is a safety. Wyatt Williams kind of plays safety and cornerback. So it's going to be interesting there. To me, guys, in this game for Texas, again, stopping the run's going to be key. How do we do that? This team wants to run the ball. They have a guy in Brian Vincent who does a phenomenal job scheming it up for his teams being able to run the ball, even when they have lesser talent out of New Mexico or out of Louisiana Monroe. So I want to see how we stop the run. I want to see when they do have to drop back to pass, because I'm sure we will force them into some 3rd and longs. I want to see us get after the quarterback and bring down General Booty, because God, it's hard to say that and take that seriously, but I want to see General Booty get taken down for multiple sacks in this game. There's going to be a couple 3rd and long opportunities. He doesn't do a great job of reading defenses. He's a more 1 or 2 read guy and then trying to run. So there's going to be opportunities for us to get him into the ground there. So Texas has to do that and get a couple sacks there. On the offensive side of the ball, is this defense better? Yes. But Arch Manning, my dude, like, you should ball out here. Arch Manning should have over 250 yards passing, honestly, if they leave him in long enough. Like if Arch Manning plays 3 quarters, he should have 250 yards passing and 3 to 4 touchdowns. Again, he should probably have 2 or 3 long runs. This is team I do believe has better coaching than last year's team. So I think Louisiana Monroe is no longer the worst team in Division I, but I think they're probably in the 90s to 100 range. So we should kill them. I believe the spread's something like over 40 points. I'm going to have Texas winning this game 52-10. I don't know if that covers the spread, but I'm going to go 52-10 Texas. That is my prediction for Texas versus Louisiana Monroe, 52-10 Texas. I don't know if that covers the spread. I think if the spread is 40, then it covers it. If it's anything like, I think I saw 45.5. I just don't think they're going to cover 45.5. I don't think Steve Sarkisian is going to run up the score. I think he ran up the score a little bit versus UTSA because for whatever reason, their players decided to talk shit the whole game. That's not going to happen with the Louisiana Monroe. And I think Steve Sarkisian will take it a little bit easy on him. So I think Texas beats Louisiana Monroe 52-10. I think we do what we got to do. I just want to see what we've been doing, basically. Consistency on both sides of the ball, playing to our standard, take down on the penalties a little bit, get to the quarterback a little bit more, close the rushing lanes, because Robert Henry from UTSA did have one long run. Basically, get rid of that one long run. You do that, I'm happy. Guys, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. No one on the schedule really is going to test us until we get to Oklahoma. And I may change my mind on that because if Oklahoma goes and gets blown out by Tennessee, yes, you have the rivalry factor, but that shouldn't play a gigantic role in this. Like if we're the best team in the country and Oklahoma's the 20th, we should beat them by 10 plus points, even though it's a rivalry game. So Texas beats UL Monroe 52-10. We move to 4-0 for the first time since, well, we did it last year too, but before that it had been a long time. And we are still the number 1 team in the country. That may not last, though, because if Georgia does go on the road and beat Alabama, we may drop down to number 2. But enjoy it, guys. It's been 16 years since Texas has been the number 1 team in the country. In 2008, we were only there for 3 weeks. But everything, be happy, but be hungry. And I think that's the message Steve Sarkisian continues to preach to the team. Obviously, we're not the team, so we can celebrate a little bit more. But don't go crazy, guys. Number 1 right now, like Michael Taft said today in the media availability, it doesn't matter. Like if we're not holding that championship trophy at the end of the year, it doesn't matter. And honestly, with this team and in my expectations of what Quinn Ewers was going to be and what he showed me to be, that should be the expectation of the fan base is the national championship. So the number 1 Texas Longhorns are going to beat UL Monroe 52-10. We will move on from that and move on to Mississippi State. I'm hoping to get a guest on for Mississippi State. We'll see what I can do. I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, like and subscribe to the content. I will be here Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be here for every game afterwards, post game. So please join me for that. I really appreciate you guys being here as always, and hook them to the number 1 team in college football, the Texas Longhorns. Been a long time, guys. Enjoy it. Thank you. Like and subscribe.